What's up everyone, this is NyhlekDreams back with another video, and today we're going to be going over the new Totally Rockin' Out team perk, which was released with patch 10.20 about a week ago. So I know I'm a few days late getting to this, but I still wanted to go over it nonetheless because this video is going to be a precursor to future videos that will be helpful information in terms of running certain builds and all that. So I still wanted to go over this as somewhat of a help and a guide in order to lead further into those videos that I continue on with in the future. But we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. Now, the way that you actually unlock the team perk is you have to complete the Long Road Home quest line and unlock Dennis Jr. Once you unlock that mythic hero, you'll also gain access to Totally Rockin' Out. And if we look at the team perk, it says Rockin' Riff also increases crit rating by 160, decaying over 8 seconds, and heals for 73.75 base health. And you'll also need 2 of the totally rad heroes in your support to be able to activate this. So basically what this is doing is while this Rockin' Riff 8-second buff is activated, you're going to gain a large amount of crit rating, and over that 8 seconds it's going to decay and kind of fall off in intervals to where you don't have as much crit chance. And that crit rating also has diminishing returns, so you're not directly getting 160% crit chance. You're just going to be getting a portion of that due to diminishing returns in the way that crit rating works. So if anyone is confused about Rockin' Riff and doesn't understand what Rockin' Riff is, we can go ahead and head into the support team where we have all the new totally rad heroes, and each of them has an ability to be able to proc this, as well as Dennis Jr. himself. So all 5 of the heroes on screen have the opportunity to activate Rockin' Riff, and Rockin' Riff, if you see, has a damage increase of 50% and also a melee attack speed increase of 32%. So we'll go ahead and go over how each of these heroes actually activates the buff. That way you're aware of how to access it when you're choosing a loadout and trying to find which heroes you want to use. So for Dennis Jr., he's going to actually activate it by axe eliminations, and when he's in the commander slot, he'll have 37% chance to grant that. So that's a 37% chance to do it on each axe elimination. So just be aware that the chances of activating the buff will vary dependent on whether your hero is in the commander or the support slot. But we can head into the support team and check out the rest of the heroes that can activate the buff. And this is just to display all 4 of them. It's not an actual build. But up first we have Varsity Hero with Fumble. Eliminated enemies have a chance to fumble a football, so whenever you're out killing husks and you drop a football on the ground, all you have to do is walk over it and that'll activate the buff. Up next we have Main Stage Quinn with Subwafers. Harvesting metal objects has a chance to give subwafers, and this is a held item like the coconuts, so when you consume the subwafer it will also activate the buff, and this is one of the more reliable ways to actually activate it. So subwafers is a really nice one to have and be able to put in builds. Up next we have Power Pop Penny with Bringing Down the House. Heavy attack eliminations have a chance to grant Rockin' Riffs, so it's as simple as when you're using melee weapons and you use a heavy attack, if you kill husks it has a chance to proc the buff. And then the last one that we have is Breakbeat Wildcat with Battle Beat. Eliminating enemies in 9 seconds grants Rockin' Riff, so this is going to vary whether she's in the commander or the support slot. It's just lesser kills in order to activate it, but you have to get it in a 9-second frame. So as long as you kill a certain amount in a 9-second time frame, you'll be able to activate it with Breakbeat Wildcat. And I also got some gameplay to be able to show off the Rockin' Riff buff and give you a better idea of how it's activated and what it looks like while it's activated. So you'll be able to see that every time the buff activates, you have a green aura around your hero, and that indicates the heal that came from the team perk. And then there's also a visual effect for different color lights that kind of show up around your hero that will be able to indicate that it's actually active and you're getting the buff. So every time that it's active, it's going to reset that crit rating up to its max 160 and then fall off, and you'll also get the heal. So the more that you activate it, the more you heal. So there is a little bit of sustain in this build, but you have to kind of keep activating it. So dependent on what kind of hero you're running, which one of the rad heroes you're actually going with, it can be a little more accessible, or it might actually come at you know, different intervals. With wafers, you can activate it whenever you want as long as you're using it on the hotbar and using it like you use coconuts in like Blast from the Past builds. But aside from the perk itself and how it's actually activated, I just kind of wanted to use this time to speak on all of the opportunities that it opened up. I wanted to do a general gameplay where this is kind of just a mediocre mission. It's not high twine, and I'm only using a Shadow Shard Wraith in order to not show the true potential of the build, because a lot of stuff opened up with this, and anyone that's finding a difficulty in getting into the game right now, this is actually a perfect time to come back and start working towards things because of so many opportunities that opened up with being able to use this perk. I'm not going to sell it to you as the best team perk because Blast from the Past still has its place, and coconuts and survivability and higher twine, sometimes you'll be able to get more out of that type of build rather than just going glass cannon DPS with totally rocking out. But I will say that it is the most reliable source of damage when looking at team perks because it's a DPS powerhouse in comparison to preemptive strike and hunter's instincts, and you can also take a lot more advantage of it. It's much more readily available, especially if you're using those wafers, and a couple of the heroes are actually really reliable in being able to proc it. So when you're looking at preemptive strike needing your enemy to be at full health, or hunter's instinct needing it to be evening or nighttime to get any of those damage boosts, this is just much more accessible and readily available when looking at that damage. And it's also just upfront a larger DPS increase in general due to the crit rating. It's actual chance that you can up your damage and not have to rely on something other than the actual activation of the buff through the heroes. It's opened up a world of opportunities in order to be able to play weapons that weren't quite as good before. So I'm really looking forward to covering all of those new weapons, and I'm also going to be trying to set up those weapon reviews soon and make them more easily understandable to know that they will be designated towards this Rockin' Rift. And I think I'm going to go ahead and label them a Rockin' Out weapon review to indicate that they are more designated to this team perk and the way that the Rockin' Rift performs, so that it's not just a general overall weapon review that you could use on certain heroes. It will be confined to being able to use it on these specific builds. So keep your eyes out for any of those weapons coming out in the future for reviews, and me going over them to kind of refresh on some of the things that are more available. But as I said, this is just a team perk that opened up a lot of opportunities. It's a huge gateway into being able to enjoy the game even more and not have as much difficulties in Twine because of the reliability and damage. So if you're missing out on some DPS and feeling as though you're not doing much, definitely keep an eye out for the coming videos, because I'm going to be going over all the opportunities that this actually opened up and help you guys to better understand the way that Rockin' Out will be able to boost some of your gameplay if you're having struggles with being able to perform with damage. And it also simply paved a new avenue in being able to revisit some things that were kind of forgotten about in the game. So definitely going to be having fun with this over the next couple of weeks, trying to get these out to you, and just in the future going over some weapons and reviewing things that will be able to help you guys have a little more fun with the game. Keep your eyes out for perk up missions and reperk missions as well, because you're going to be definitely needing to stock up on those. And I think it was huge for Epic to release this when they did, because we're also getting the perk up and reperk changes to missions supposedly in 10:30, which should come next week with the patch. So hopefully we'll be able to see an increase in rewards and everyone can start getting more active in doing missions in Twine and acquiring all those things to bump up some weapons. So I'm really looking forward to all the things coming up with this and all the excitement revolving around this leading into season 11. And I truly think it's prepping us for something bigger, something better, because of hints that have come. So I really can't wait to actually get all this stuff going and in motion and be able to cover more and more for you guys. But that's it for this video. Let me know what you all think in the comments about the new Totally Rockin' Out team perk, and if there's any builds or loadouts that you guys have been trying out specifically for this Rockin' Rift buff. I'm really interested to see what anyone has been trying to mess around with, and really interested in knowing what you guys are trying to do with this new team perk. and all the stuff that came with this event. But I want to thank you all again for all of your positivity and the people that are making strides to make this community even better and build it up and have some more fun with this game. And I'm looking forward to the longer lasting life of this game and really enjoying Save the World recently, playing it a lot more, so I hope everyone else is as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.